So it's been just over 2 years now since I started meditating and journaling pretty much every single day. And the benefits that I've gained from these two habits have completely transformed my life. Today, I want to share with you everything that I noticed over the past 2 years. But before we get into that, I just want to quickly introduce myself. My name's Satya, I'm a college student, and on this channel, I share everything that just helps me become a better version of myself in every single area of my life. So before we get into the benefits, I just want to quickly talk about why it's so important to implement these habits in the modern world. We live in an extremely loud world. Everyone is trying to fight for your attention, including myself. And not only that, there's just an overload of information. The internet's only been a thing for the past couple of decades, and our minds and bodies haven't evolved to this. There has never been a time in history where there's been so much information so easily accessible. And our brains can only hold so much information, and because of this, it becomes completely overloaded. So meditating and journaling is how we're able to combat these unintentional problems of the modern world. So I'm gonna start off with some surface level benefits that you've probably already heard about these habits, and as the video progresses, I'm going to dive deeper into the benefits that I wasn't expecting at all. So the first benefit that I noticed is that I had a clear mind, and that's because journaling allows me to just dump all my thoughts onto a piece of paper. It feels very relieving to get all the chaos out of my mind onto a piece of paper. And then meditating allows you to simply take time to sit with your thoughts and slowly empty out your brain inbox. Because like I said earlier, we're constantly stimulating our brain. We don't give it a chance to relax. And meditating and journaling is a time where you get to decompress a little bit. Take time to just empty your mind, not do anything, just sit with your thoughts and decompress. And this brings me directly to the second point. I became a lot less stressed out. And like I was explaining, when you deliberately take time to sit down and sit with your thoughts, you get to organize it a little bit. You get to allow your brain inbox to declutter. 9 times out of 10, the reason you're stressed out is not because you have shit going on in your life. It's just that you haven't properly organized what's going on up here. You haven't taken the time to sit down and analyze your thoughts and organize it properly. And this brings me to my next point. I'm a lot more focused, and I've become a lot more focused for a couple reasons. One, I'm less stressed and have a clearer mind, so my mind's not wandering everywhere. I'm no longer constantly thinking about other things while I'm trying to do something. And the second reason I'm a lot more focused is because while I'm meditating, I'm trying to focus on my breath. I'm not trying to get lost in thought, but when I do get lost in thought, I'm trying to recognize that and return to my breath. And the act of constantly returning to my breath and trying to focus on it as long as possible has translated into every single other area of my life. And this brings me to the fourth benefit that I noticed. My sleep has drastically improved. And this is because I'm no longer getting kept up by my thoughts while I'm trying to sleep. As I've meditated and journaled more, I've cleared out more of my brain inbox. I've cleared my mind more. And this has allowed me to just instantly fall asleep instead of thinking about what's gone wrong in my day or what I need to do tomorrow. I can just tell myself that it's time to go to bed now and I can rest easily. And every time before I go to bed, I journal. I journal for as long as I need to until my mind feels decluttered so that I can just easily fall asleep. There used to be so many days where I got shit sleep the night before and I knew I had a lot of work to do in the day, so I just powered through it. And I was so excited to just get to bed the entire day. But the second I lied down onto my bed, I just couldn't fall asleep because my mind was racing and I never got time to clear out my thoughts. And this leads me to my fifth point. I've become a lot more productive for a couple reasons. One, I've gotten better sleep, so that's going to increase my output in work. The second reason is because I have this clearer mind and better focus, I'm able to completely immerse myself into the task at hand and increase the work output per unit of time. And this is called getting into a flow state and doing some deep work, which I'll talk about in some future videos. And the sixth benefit that I notice is that I've become more in tune with my body. Now, this isn't a completely life-changing benefit, but I still thought it was worth mentioning. It was pretty cool to just notice that randomly I could feel how my body reacts to food more, and while I'm working out I had better mind-muscle connection. And this is mainly because of meditation, not journaling, because one form of meditating is a body scan meditation, where you just scan through your body and you feel different parts of your body. So doing that over and over, you get to become more in tune with your body. And because of this, my fitness has improved. I no longer crave junk food or sitting on the couch, because then I just feel like shit. And because I'm more in tune with my body, I don't like feeling like shit, man. I want to get a nice sweat on. I want to fuel my body with some real food and just feel on top of the world. So now I'm going to start getting into some deeper benefits, ones that I was not expecting at all, but can't complain that they happen. And the first thing on the list is that I've just become a lot more rational. I used to be the guy that just would act on all of his impulses. Every single thought that would come up, I would just immediately act on it. I wouldn't step back and think about it and ask myself, should I actually do this? Like, should I actually watch porn? Should I actually eat junk food? Should I actually sleep in? Whatever it might be. And 9 times out of 10, these decisions would bite me in the ass. No surprise at all. I would immediately feel regret after this decision. But there are a couple reasons why I've become a lot more rational. One, while you're meditating, you get to step back and analyze your thought for a second. You get to realize that you don't have to associate with your thoughts all the time. Your thoughts are just your thoughts. They don't have to dictate your actions. And the way journaling has helped is whenever I've had a problem in my life, I can write it down and I can look at that thought for a second and I can really dissect it and analyze it and question it more and come to an answer that my soul actually agrees with, and not just some impulsive thought that my monkey brain has tricked me into wanting to do. And another way it's helped me is that I get to actually fight this internal dialogue. I don't just have to succumb to it anymore. It's not even just stepping back from the thought anymore. It's having 2 different voices in your head, which sounds fucking crazy, I know, but David Goggins talks about it a lot, but I guess he's kind of crazy too. And what? Nah. Okay, anyways, it's a clash of mind versus body, of what I know I should do versus what my monkey brain's trying to get me to do. And as I've meditated more and more, I've become more resilient. I'm getting rid of that inner bitch that David Goggins would always say, which I'm not trying to sound like some motivational speaker, but there's no other way of putting it. And that brings me directly to my next point. I've become a lot more resilient. I'm able to push past pain a lot more. And not only because I have this battle of an internal dialogue and trying to win against the inner bitch, but also I'm able to focus on something else instead of the physical pain. And that something else is focusing on my breath. What I mean by this, I'll give you an example. The first time that I realized how powerful meditating actually was when I was sitting in a sauna. I was trying to go for 30 minutes. I had never done 30 minutes before. In the last 5-10 minutes, they were fucking brutal, dude. If you've been in a sauna, you know how hot it gets, and towards the end of your session, you start breathing so fast, you're sweating so much, you think you're gonna pass out. And I wanted to get out of the sauna so badly, but I was like, no, fuck it. I'm gonna stay in, fuck you, I'm gonna suffer more. Not only was it that clash of the internal dialogue, but I was focusing my attention towards my breath. I was trying to ignore the heat. I wasn't trying to feel how my body was suffering. I was focusing on my breath and just trying to slow it down. And it was like an out-of-body experience, to be honest, to just ignore the pain, ignore the heat of the sauna, and just focus all of my attention onto my breath really made me realize how powerful getting skilled at meditating actually is. So the next point I want to talk about is that I've become wiser, I'd like to think, and reading has definitely helped, but meditating and journaling has definitely contributed to that as well. And the main reason is because you really get to question your thoughts, you get to question yourself, you get to question life, you get to question the world around you. You're really just expanding your consciousness by meditating and journaling. The more I've meditated, the more I've journaled, the more I've been able to question my why, my reason for living, the reason for life, and whatever philosophical ideas it might be. You really get to meditate and sit on whatever question you might have stumbled upon. And that question might have came from myself, or it might have came from a book that I read. But taking time to actually question things by journaling and then meditating on the question so that you arrive at an answer just has completely, it's been unbelievable. You really just expand your consciousness and your understanding of the world around you. Now again, probably reading has helped, life experience and going through pain. All of that has definitely contributed to me having an older soul. But again, I still would like to think that meditating and journaling has contributed to this. And this brings me directly to my next point. I've gained a greater sense of morality. And this is because you actually have to face your thoughts. You're not running away from your thoughts, trying to numb yourself with drugs or social media, video games, whatever the fuck it might be. You're facing your thoughts head on, and you're trying to understand what your soul is genuinely okay with. So for example, if I were to write about a decision that I'm stuck on and it's morally wrong for me to go along with it, and I journal it and I really just sit with it for a second and I really feel what my soul is trying to tell me. And it sounds so fucking corny and woo and spiritual. Okay, don't listen to me if you don't want to. I don't really give a shit. I'm just telling you what I've noticed. But just sitting with that and understanding what my soul is okay with so that I don't walk around feeling disgusted with myself. And it doesn't even have to do with morally wrong decisions. It can be with any decision in general. You really try to go inward and listen to your soul, and you choose the decision that you genuinely believe would be the best decision to go with. No matter what other people might fucking tell you, if you're okay with that decision that you make, that's all that matters. And the next thing that I've noticed is that I've been able to stay in the present moment a lot more effectively. And the reason staying in the present moment is so important is because a wandering mind is an unhappy mind. And we're not trying to gain peace of mind, we're trying to gain peace from mind. So when you're not lost in thought and you're just in the present moment, fully immersing yourself with the beauty of life and the beauty of whatever event it might be, like walking in nature or talking with a friend, that's when you're going to feel the most amount of joy. Think about all of the times that you've been the happiest, the most joyful. I can fucking bet $1 million that you weren't lost in thought. You were fully immersed into the event itself. It might have been a birthday party or a dinner or a really good conversation with a friend. I can guarantee you weren't thinking about what was going to happen tomorrow, or you weren't stuck on some decision that you made a week ago, or worried about what you said to someone at the cash register, whatever the fuck it might be. You get the idea. The best moments in your life are when you're fully immersed into the moment. When you're meditating and you're journaling, you're clearing your mind and you're forcing yourself to focus on your breath and not getting lost in thought. You're really training this muscle of mindfulness and being in the present moment and learning to enjoy every breath of air and actually loving life. And that brings me directly to my next point. I've become more grateful for the little things. And obviously, because that I'm able to stay in the present moment and immerse myself and admire the world around me, that I'm able to be grateful for it more. But another big reason is because I journal about things that I'm grateful for. When I journal about these things, I really sit with the gratitude. I sit and express gratitude deeply towards whatever it might be. And not only that, I'll practice negative visualization while I'm journaling. I'll kind of like combine journaling and meditating together while doing this. I'll immerse myself into the act of journaling and feel the gratitude, but I will also negatively visualize what life would be without this item. And that just amplifies the gratitude even more. I really try to imagine what life would be without a hand or some legs or clean water or a roof over my head. And this has trained my mind to constantly express gratitude towards things in my life while I'm just going about my day. It's impossible to be depressed and angry and fearful or whatever negative emotion it might be when you're practicing gratitude. Because when you're depressed, you're being stuck in the past. When you're being anxious and fearful, you're thinking about the future, a negative future. But when you're writing gratitude, you're forcing yourself to be in the present moment and think about things in your life right now that you're grateful for. So you can see how journaling gratitude, you're not being stuck in the future. You're not being stuck in the past. You're immersing yourself in the activity of journaling. And this again directly brings me to my next point. I was able to overcome my depression, my anxiety, my fears, my limiting beliefs, my traumas, the negative mindset. I've been able to completely just eradicate it. And I just want to quickly explain what it actually means to be depressed and anxious. When you're being depressed, you're being stuck in the past. Maybe you're stuck on losing a loved one and thinking about all the good times that you had with them. Or maybe you're no longer friends with someone, whatever it might be. You're thinking about the past memories that no longer exist. And being anxious, you're thinking about a future that hasn't happened yet. You're thinking about a future that you're trying to predict based off the past from your traumas and your limiting beliefs and whatever it might be. Those traumas and limiting beliefs is your brain's way of trying to predict the future. And that's how you're going to be anxious all the time. I used to be someone who was super anxious, super depressed because of all these traumas and fears and limiting beliefs. And when you meditate and journal, you can do a couple of things. One, you're practicing being in the present moment, so you're not being stuck in the past. You're not trying to predict the future. Two, you're expressing gratitude, which is going to force you to be in the present moment again. But you're not feeling those negative emotions of the past and the future. And three, probably the most important thing, you're reframing your beliefs about your traumas and your past experiences so that you're not being stuck on these negative experiences in the past that you might have had when you were a kid. And you're also not trying to predict a future based off of these past experiences. So I literally reframed my entire mind around the traumas that I experienced growing up. I am no longer stuck on those traumas in the past. I am no longer trying to predict a future based on these traumas. And it's gotten to the point where I'm actually grateful for these traumas, because without them, I wouldn't have grown into the person that I am today. Meditating and journaling has allowed me to dive deep into my own mind and rewrite the relationship that I've had with those traumas and limiting beliefs. So I know I went on a tangent there for that one point, but I really wish someone had explained how I could change my relationship with depression and anxiety when I was struggling with it. And this brings me to my next point. I've become more self-aware because of meditating and journaling, because I analyze these thoughts that come up in my mind. I'm analyzing the actions I'm doing on a day-to-day basis. I'm analyzing the beliefs that I have, and I'm questioning those beliefs. And journaling helps a lot with this. You really get to ask yourself a lot of questions. You get to know yourself a lot. You get to understand how your past is holding power over you. You get to understand where you are right now, and you get to understand where you actually want to be in the future. The real essence of meditation is trying to understand this thing called I. Meditating has allowed me to become aware of these unconscious thoughts that I wasn't aware of before, and then I can journal about it, analyze it, and really just dissect the fuck out of it and understand if I want to keep that thought or let go of it and change my relationship with it. And this brings me right to my next point. Because of this increased self-awareness, I've become a lot more emotionally intelligent. And this is because I've dived deep into my own mind for the past 2 years. Because of that, I'm able to somewhat apply it to other people. So for example, if someone gets like road rage at me or gets ticked off at me in public for a reason that they shouldn't even get mad at me for, I understand that they're not actually mad at me. They're mad about something going on in their life that they're not consciously aware about because they haven't meditated and journaled and delved deep into their mind and increased their own self-awareness. But I understand that they're just putting that anger onto me. They're just completely projecting it onto me. Unless I actually did some really fuck shit, which I would like to think I don't really do because I have a greater sense of morality. But is that my ego talking? I don't know. Anyways, I'd like to think I'm a pretty good human being and try not to fuck people over. So whenever someone's mad at me, I just shrug it off. I'm not going to allow someone's negativity to affect me. Not only that, I've just become a lot more aware of, without sounding like too like woo and spiritual, because I know that turns people off. It used to turn me off, but I can really feel people's like energies by their like body language, tone of voice, and all the underlying stuff. I can get a sense of how someone's like after interacting with them just for a couple minutes. And this brings me directly to my next point. I have more compassion towards others and myself because of this increased emotional intelligence. And I understand that it's something going on in their lives that's making them a negative person. Maybe some past trauma that they haven't fully healed from, whatever the fuck it might be. I really try to treat others with compassion as much as possible. And it's really easy to do that when you have a lot of compassion towards yourself. I used to be someone that had no self-compassion at all. I used to look in the mirror and just look at myself with disgust. I would cry just looking at myself. I hated every inch of myself. And as I meditated and journaled more and more, I got to overcome that feeling of hatred and regret that I had over myself for decisions that I made in the past that I thought would affect me forever, but obviously they're not going to. But overall, I started talking to myself as if I were my own best friend. And meditating and journaling allowed me to become aware of those negative thoughts that I had towards myself, journal about it, reframe my mind about it, and just meditate on those positive thoughts more and more so that my positive thoughts would overcome all of those negative thoughts. Not to mention that overall, just living in the present moment and expressing gratitude for things in your life helps with overall joyfulness, and that's going to bleed into self-compassion. So the next thing that happened while I meditated and journaled more is that I found my ikigai, which is a Japanese saying for reason for living, and there's 4 pillars to it. Do what you love, do what you're good at, do what the world needs, and do what you can get paid for. And this took me like 2 years to actually figure out. But meditating and journaling allowed me to find my ikigai because I got to journal about these prompts, really dissect them, understand them more, and the increased self-awareness really helped me understand what I'm good at, what do I love, and the increased emotional intelligence allows me to understand what the world needs. And overall, I just got to find a true reason for living. I've never felt so good in my life. I can't lie. I can't express enough how these 2 habits have just completely changed my life. And I'm starting to get a little emotional now just thinking about it after just talking about everything and how it's changed my life. Yeah, these habits really have changed my life, and I really do hope you implement them more. But there's still more benefits that I haven't talked about yet, if you're still watching at this point. But these habits are something that I'm going to promote till the day I die, because they have really, they've really changed my life. Oh, holy fuck. Wow. I was not not gonna cry because I'm not a bitch. No, it's okay. Men can cry. Men should cry. But yeah, wow. Holy shit, dude. I was not expecting to be overwhelmed with those emotions. Wow. Okay. I'll probably leave majority of this in too, actually. little more authentic, more authenticity is needed on the internet. But anyways, and the next benefit that I've noticed from meditating and journaling is that it's allowed me to make an identity shift. An identity shift is changing your perception of yourself and your habits and your actions, which is a video I will make in the future as well. But the overall gist of how I was able to make this identity shift, which I didn't even know was like even a thing until I started implementing these habits more. You become aware of these unconscious thoughts, and those unconscious thoughts are what's shaping your actual identity. And when you get into deep states of meditation, you do it for longer periods of time, you can see more of these unconscious thoughts. And you get to journal about these unconscious thoughts. And you get to understand if you like these unconscious thoughts or if you don't. Most of the time, at first, you're not going to like them. So you're going to want to make an identity shift, change your unconscious thoughts, and rewire your subconscious to become someone that you actually want to be. You write the habits of who you want to be. You really try to envision and visualize who you want to be and sit with that. And slowly through meditating, becoming more present and becoming more aware of these unconscious thoughts, you won't start reacting to those thoughts anymore of your old identity. And you start forcing yourself to act on the thoughts of the new identity of who you actually want to be. So yeah, that is a topic for a future video, which is something I'll dive super deep into. But this leads me directly into my next point, the last point of the benefits that I've noticed. You're able to manifest shit in your life, which I know the word, you don't like it, manifestation, whatever, I don't care. I used to not like that word too. I thought it was fucking weird and like some crystal girl shit. Whatever, you get the idea. Manifestation is not what you think it is. It is tied into identity shift. So, example, if you want to manifest a fit body, you have to make an identity shift to a fit person. So if you're currently not working out and you're eating shit food, you have to change your identity to a fit person. You have to start going to the gym. You have to start eating healthy. You have to start treating your recovery properly and taking supplements and all that stuff. And eventually, once you make that identity shift and you're sticking with it and you've truly made that identity shift, it's not just this 3-month thing that you're going to do. No, you've changed your state of being and who you fundamentally are. At some point, your reality is going to catch up to what's going on in your mind. That person that you envision of having a six-pack and being jacked is going to catch up to that vision that you have in your head because you made that identity shift. If you want to manifest $1 million, you need to ask yourself, how do I become someone that is worthy of $1 million? You can't expect $1 million to just come to you because, oh, I want $1 million, universe, God. I'm gonna say God because I believe in God. But God, give me $1 million, please. You can't just expect that to happen. No, you have to ask yourself, how do I become someone that is worthy of $1 million? How do I make that identity shift into a millionaire so that I can manifest $1 million? So again, manifestation, whatever the fuck. I don't care if you don't like the term. I fully believe in it. You will too one day, hopefully. If you don't, I'll change your mind, don't worry, because I'm gonna make a future video on that. Don't even worry, dummy, I got you. But again, I used to not like that term, but hopefully my future video on manifestation will change your mind on that. So I know I just talked about all of the benefits of meditating, but how can you start implementing these habits? Well, I'm glad you asked. If you want to learn how to start doing these habits, click right here and here, or I don't know, they're probably right there. But if you made it to the end of this video, just want to quickly thank you for giving me your time and attention. I know it was a pretty long video, probably not too many edits to not make your dopamine and your retention worse. But anyways, that's all from me today. And remember to always stay curious and aware.